Alrighty, everyone. The purpose of this video is to go over chapter 2, which is regarding managing nervousness. So there's a lot of reasons that people can be nervous to give a speech. One, they could have fear of being stared at. A lot of us don't like having multiple eyes on us. I think there's an evolutionary perspective to this. Some individuals believe that we don't like being stared at or giving public speeches because when we were in villages, it was very primal that if you had a lot of eyes on you, you were either being shunned from the village or you had a lot of, animals looking at you. So eyes may not be the best thing to have on you when you are presenting or giving a public speech. So some people have a fear of having eyes on them. There's also a fear of failure and or rejection. So people may have a fear of being seen as incompetent or failing in front of a large group of individuals. They may also have a fear of the unknown. What happens if I fail? What happens if I do great? That uncertainty of not knowing what happens after the speech or how people are viewing you is another reason why people can be nervous. Another reason for nervousness is individuals may have had a traumatic experience in the past. So I have been public speaking for over 15 years. I started public speaking when I was in the second grade. And one of the first auditions I had for a speech competition, I was so nervous and I was in an all boy group and there wasn't a bathroom nearby and I didn't want to essentially leave the group. I wanted to be seen as someone, who was a top contender. And I really had to go to the bathroom. And long story short, I basically ended up peeing my pants. And I was nervous moving forward. It was a super embarrassing experience in second grade, but I didn't let that traumatic experience impact my ability to move forward and continue my public speaking career. Another reason you could be nervous is social anxiety. So you may just not enjoy being around a lot of people. I have a sibling who has very severe social anxiety to the point that they sometimes have trouble going out in public. And so this may be another reason why an individual might be nervous for presenting. It's important, though, to confront your fear. If I would have never gone back in and done another audition for public speaking events, I wouldn't be where I am today, and I wouldn't have been able to help as many people as I would have been able to help. So it's really important that you do the thing that you fear the most and just confront it head on, because the best thing that could happen is that you conquer it and you grow. And that's what public speaking and being a human is all about, is growing as an individual. There's a lot of value in harnessing your fear. So many speakers say fear makes them more alert and dynamic. I have a kind of fun story about this. So I have a friend named Tyler Rose, and he is a musician. And he was actually on The Voice. And his coach on The Voice was Adam Levine. And it was the same year that Adam Levine, aka the lead singer of Maroon 5, was presenting or singing at the Super Bowl halftime show. And Tyler asked him, hey, do you ever get nervous? Like, what tips do you have? And Adam Levine essentially said, I don't know, man, I get nervous all the time. And one thing I might do is I might take my shirt off. And sure enough, if you go back and watch the halftime show for the year that Maroon 5 sung at it, Adam Levine does take his shirt off. So fear can sometimes be this good thing that makes us feel more alert, makes us entertain people a little bit more. Obviously, everybody loved it when Adam Levine took his shirt off. Well, I don't know if everyone loved it, but there were a lot of people who enjoy seeing Adam Levine with their shirt off. So there are some perks to having fear, but you need to know how to harness it. There's also a value in tension. So before an event, many athletes can experience nervousness or tension, which ends up boosting their energy levels. But it's important to note that you have to manage this tension. So if you have too much tension to where like you're so constrained you can't move, that's undesirable. Another undesirable effect is having no tension at all, being like this kind of like, I don't care kind of ordeal. You want to have some type of tension. I call it the butterfly effect, where essentially you have those butterflies in your stomach, and you want to get those butterflies in an order where they're kind of moving in the same direction so that it energizes you instead of making it so unbelievably crippling that you can't present or perform. So here are some guidelines for how to manage nervousness throughout the stages of preparing your speech. In the planning stage, it's important that you choose a topic you know a lot about. I always get a lot more nervous when I'm speaking about something I don't understand or know quite a bit about. So for example, if I had to give a speech on the intricacies of quantum physics, I would be petrified because I have no idea what that entails. And so I'd have to do a lot of research or a lot of prep for it. Whereas when it comes to public speaking, I did very minimal prep for this presentation here because I've been giving this presentation for years on how to overcome nervousness. So it's important to choose a topic you know a lot about. It'll help you be more confident when it comes time for you to present. Also prepare yourself thoroughly, like I mentioned a minute ago. If you don't feel confident in the topic you're talking on, you need to prepare yourself and do your research and practice. It's also important that you never memorize a speech in the planning stage for a variety of reasons. I'll give you the top ones. Essentially, when you are memorizing a speech, like let's say you memorized it word for word, it can make people really nervous to present because what if you miss one of those words? And a lot of times with memorization, if you skip a word, you'll lose your place and where you're at, and it'll stop you, and then you'll have a long pause, and then everybody will be looking at you and it'll be awkward. So never memorize a speech, excuse me, because you could forget one of the words and you don't want to risk that. Another big reason is for it to be important that you never memorize a speech is you want your speeches to be extemporaneous, which means that they sound conversational. As you can see right now, I'm not reading off of a screen and my eyes aren't like moving back and forth. I'm talking from what I know in my outlines and my notes, and I've practiced this speech many times, this presentation. And so I know what's coming next. I know what I'm talking on. And so it feels more conversational instead of forced. So I 10 out of 10 recommend to never memorize a speech because like I said, it'll not benefit your nerves at all. It's also important in the planning stages to imagine yourself giving an effective speech. So this can look like meditation. This can look like right before your bed, before you go to sleep, you just kind of run through what a good speech would look like or what you want your speech to look like. This visualization can really help you overcome your nerves, and it can help you when it comes time to presenting. Please note that shyness is no barrier to giving an effective speech or to overcoming nerves. So they have a picture of Kristen Stewart. She is the lead actress from the famous Twilight series, from Twilight, and you could see that she's a great actress. And however, if you watch her on public, she can come off as very shy. And she'll even admit to being very shy in interviews. However, just know that this isn't a barrier for how you are seen in the general public. People are very fond of Kristen Stewart. Many people are, and find her to be a very powerful actress. So just know that shyness is not a barrier to your ability to effectively present and communicate with the world. Now, we've been talking a lot about visualization and how we're perceived, but a lot of times we can focus on ourselves too much and how we're perceived by everyone else around you. Another way to overcome nerves in the planning stage is to shift your focus or reframe how you're viewing the event from it being all about you to or from me to you. So for example, instead of going up on the stage and thinking like, what are they going to think about me, or how is my speech going to be good? Shift it to how can I help you become a better instructor from this speech, or how can I make you a better presenter from this speech? shift your perception from yourself to how you're going to be able to benefit your audience members. This will take a lot of the pressure off of you, and it'll just lift it. I've done it. I just know it works for me. Again, when it comes to overcoming nerves, I will say everybody is a little bit different, but this is a tactic that can help you overcome those nerves. You can change your self-talk. It's important to have positive self-talk in the planning stages. So instead of saying comments like, nobody's gonna like this, or I'm probably gonna be seen as silly, or this isn't that big of a deal, change it to, I'm a great speaker. I have something that I can share with everyone that'll help them. What I can get out of this is more beneficial than what I can't get out of it, or I would just want to help people. Change your self-talk and the reframing of how you view the event, and it'll help overcome your nerves. I will also say plan visuals and make arrangements. You'll notice for the upcoming speeches, some of the upcoming speeches, I don't require a PowerPoint to be included in it, but in some I do. So it's important that you have visuals that accompany your speech well, and you make arrangements that help guide you through your speech. And when you do this in the planning stage, it'll help for when the actual speech comes, that it runs a little bit more smoothly. Again, this will help you overcome your nerves. Now, that's in the planning stage. These are all things that you can control right before the big day of your speech. Now, but what do you do right before your speech? First, you need to verify that any equipment and materials that you're using is up to par. So for example, you need to review your notes if you're having index cards. If you're using a PowerPoint slide deck, you need to make sure that it's accessible on whatever platform you're using. You need to get acclimated to the audience and the settings. So for example, let's say you're about to give a speech in front of 100 people, it's important to mingle with the audience members, see what's going on. I did a TEDx talk, and you know, I wasn't able to go out and talk with the audience, but maybe if I would have been able to talk with them, I would have learned about something that they were really interested in, or they really cared about, and I would have then tailored my speech to accompany it. Also, right before the speech, use physical actions to release tension. Excuse me. I have two recommendations. One, I would recommend meditating, calm your nerves, calm your central nervous system. Or I guess I would recommend three. One, meditate. Two, do a breath exercise, which kind of coalesce with meditating. Or three, go for an aerobic run. Some people have so much nerves and jitters that they just need to get it out. So I knew some people who would go for a nice long run before a speech, and they would say that that would help them release any tension that they had before their event. Now that's right before the speech. During the speech, it's important that you pause for a few minutes before starting. Just know that there is a power in a pause, and I'll probably talk more on this later in other chapters, but pausing before you start the speech brings the attention to you, gives the audience a rest, and it draws them in to want to hear what you're about to say. So pause before you begin the speech. And then don't think about the speech being more of a performance like an actor. Instead, aim for communication. So again, this is a part of that reframing it from me to you. So instead of thinking about like, look at me perform, think of it as like, I'm trying to communicate with you this important message. Let me help you, understand this concept or topic. During the speech, you also need to know that most symptoms are not seen. So if you are unbelievably nervous, never mention it to your audience members, and never apologize for being nervous. No one knows that you're nervous except you. This may be hard to comprehend at first, just because you're like, I feel it all over. I feel like it's radiating off of me, all of these nerves. But in reality, audience members don't know that you're nervous. I always like to think of this research article that I read when I was in graduate school about nonverbals and body language. And it was discussing about, can we tell when someone's lying? And you've probably seen a bunch of tips and tricks on like, this is how you know if someone's lying, if they shift their eyes back and forth, or this is how you know if someone's lying. But what was really interesting was that so many studies have shown that you could be a trained nonverbal linguist, You could do investigations and interrogations and talk to liars all day, but that does not increase your chance of knowing when someone's lying. And so just know that we as humans are really deceptive and good at hiding things. And so you can hide your nerves, but it's just so important that you don't verbally express that you're nervous to people. Otherwise, you're going to give away the secret that you're maybe nervous on the inside. During the speech, don't let listeners upset you. There are going to be people who pull out their phone, people who are not going to be paying attention. You don't stop your speech for these individuals. You continue to present. And most importantly, this leads into acting poised. So it's important that you act poised in front of your audience members and confident. Appearing to be confident can go a very long way. And so I always encourage people to act calm. And another way you can act poised is by doing those exercises like meditation, visualization, and everything that you've done up until this point through the planning and before the speech process to overcome your nerves. And like I said, eliminate excess energy by running or before the speech, but during the speech, how do you eliminate excess energy? You do this by maybe walking or not staying in one place. So you might walk around the stage, you might walk away from the podium. And this is important because you don't really want your body to be blocked from the audience members. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm not tired, but for some reason I'm yawning. You want to eliminate this excess energy, like I said, by moving around. But make sure that you don't pace. It's important that you don't pace. There's a very clear difference between the two. So make sure you just don't pace, but that you move around, and it'll actually bring audience members' attention to you and will make them want to watch you more. During the speech, please know that you are going to make imperfections. You're going to yawn like I just did, right? Welcome the experience. It makes you seem more human and adds to that extemporaneous effect of your speech. Now, before we conclude, there's one major tip from this chapter for your career to eliminate nervousness. And it's when you are going for interviews or speeches or in front of a big crowd or a conference, your memory will lapse. So you need to prepare effectively for it. And one tip for this is to use a card trick. So politicians, celebrities, they'll do this. This trick is actually used in the movie The Devil Wears Prada with Meryl Streep and Anne Hathaway. Meryl Streep is this big fashion tycoon CEO, and Anne Hathaway is her assistant, and Anne Hathaway has to remember a bunch of cards regarding people's names and some key features about them so that she can then relay it to Meryl Streep's character so she can be seen as someone who cares about people and is likable and remembers them. And so what is on these cards is essentially the person's first and last name, some key tips about them, like maybe they have 2 daughters and their names are Alyssa and Anika. So that way, if I say, hey, Greg, how's Alyssa and Anika when I go up to those events? They are a hockey type of family. They love hockey. You might say, did you see that Red Wings game? And you could say, we've, really been appreciative of the fact that you've been a customer with us since 2005. So this is just a tip on how to eliminate nerves when you go to a corporate event. That is all I have on nervousness for this chapter in the textbook. If you have any questions, please email me. Have a great rest of your day.